Guys, we're back. A couple parts came in, so we're going to show those off today. I think I mentioned before about the bearing retainer and the pilot bearing and the importance of that for the transmission. I will show you guys the bearing retainer. This right here, this black sleeve almost to cover the shaft is the bearing retainer, which holds the hydraulic bearing in place. And they actually, hydraulic bearings come with spacers, which will match this exact shape right here, so you can space your bearing closer to your clutch so you can get it to that optimal length where it's perfect in your pedal, where you won't overpress the bearing and have an issue with your bearing coming out, and you won't have underpress where your bearing isn't reaching the clutch far enough and it's not depressing the pressure plate, and you're not getting a full release of the clutch. And this is the pilot bearing, which goes into the back of the crank and houses the front of the tranny shaft just like that. So yeah, we got all that figured out for now. Another issue I've been having was a shifter here, which I'm not entirely sure why it mounts so far to the left, but the hardware that they gave me, as you can see, doesn't actually fit in the hole. Even if it did fit in the hole, I don't know where it's supposed to go from there, or the nuts it came with. Like, I guess I just dropped those in there and somehow get a wrench in there to hold them. But here's the shifter itself. I'm not a fan of that. We're gonna try to make that work. Maybe I'll just get some smaller hardware and see where the shifter will align in the car, because being off to the left with reverse all the way to the far left, we don't want the shifter hitting any part of the console. We want to make sure that the shifter has full range of motion any direction I need to go. Yeah, but that's just a little update on the pilot bearing and the bearing retainer since those parts came in. We're still waiting on the mount and a drive shaft, which the drive shaft is not going to get ordered until everything is bolted up and I can like positively identify a correct length. But yeah. Alright guys, so we have the new pilot bearing in. I'll show real quick. Sorry, gotta crawl under the car. New pilot bearing is in. Flywheel is on, torque to spec. Now, the thing about that pilot bearing, the reason it's not deeper into the cam is it's a little bit bigger than the other ones. So what I had to do, and this tool right here will save your life. This is a micrometer. Basically, all you want to do is make sure that your pilot bearing is in far enough so that your shaft splines aren't pressing against it. I mean, it can be against it, but you don't want it like pushing the transmission away. So you can run a straight edge across your bell housing, and then use your micrometer to measure back to where the splines begin. Then lay a straight edge across the back of the block. Use a micrometer to measure out how far the crank comes out of the block, and then measure in to see how far the pilot bearing is in. And as long as it is in far enough into the crankshaft, you'll be all right. So that's where we're at right now. Next step is to put the clutch in, which in order to do so, you need a clutch alignment tool. Very handy. Highly recommend. Well, I mean, you could probably do it without it, but definitely recommend a clutch alignment tool. It'll make life much easier. So I'll be back as soon as I get the clutch in place. And everything you guys do when it comes to this stuff, you've heard a million times, torque spec. Make sure everything is torque to spec. So I'll get back to you guys as soon as I have that clutch. Okay, here we go. Oh. Bell housing is in. Clutch is in. There it is. We just measured for the throwout bearing, which has been properly spaced. Right here. And so tomorrow it's going in. Stay tuned. We're back. I did get the transmission installed. I didn't film any of it because I'm horrible with this whole filming and doing the process thing at the same time. I'm just bad at this. But anyways, we'll get under the car. Right here. And there she sits. Tremec Magnum T56. Or however, what order that goes in. Custom tranny mount by yours truly. Went down to the fab shop and fabbed that up. Guys, getting that transmission to sit into that bell housing was quite a motherfucker. For one thing, the bell housing is powder coated, and some of the powder coating gets into the holes that are tapped to fit these bolts. Not the bolts down here, the ones that are actually connected up here that connect the transmission to the bell housing. I highly recommend that you run the bolts through and get the powder coating out of the way and try to not strip any of those holes because they will be a bitch. But we did get it all lined up, paired. The throwout bearing is working perfectly so far. It's lined up, we bled it out, so it's good. The shifter sits where it should be, but the shifter that I got mounts to the outside right there, top part of the shifter onto the outside, and it's hard to film, but when the shifter is on, you can't actually put the car in reverse because I'm hitting the side of the tranny hull up there, the hole in the hull. So I think today what we're gonna do is we're gonna head to the fab shop. We're gonna fab up a shifter. We're gonna throw the battery in the car, and we're gonna try to wire these reverse lights in, which shouldn't be too hard. And then we're gonna measure for this drive shaft and get that all ordered up. So, yep. As for the speedometer, we're not gonna worry about that at the moment. I have the Holley pigtail gauges in there, and with these gauges there is actually a GPS antenna that goes to the speedometer because I was not trying to wire the Muncie up and get through all that shit and make it all electronic and then do a full bullshit conversion that I don't even know how to do any of that stuff. When it comes to wiring, I can follow diagrams. Like, you buy an ignition box. I know how to wire the ignition box to the car. I know what fuses to put where and what to use and all the sizes. Like, I did the majority of the wiring on this car by myself. But when it comes to like computer stuff, pretty well fucked. So we'll take a quick shot down through the boot. So there is where the shifter would go, and I don't know why they made it this way. It looks like the shifter should go in here, but it actually mounts to the outside, which is a bit ridiculous. Oop. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fab up some steel, put the shifter ball on it, tap the holes, and send it in. So we'll see how that looks when I'm done. Catch you guys at the fab shop. And boom. There's my new shifter. Nothing too crazy because I'm impatient, but we're gonna put it in the car. Finish ain't too bad, actually. I didn't know if I'd like the sparkles, but I put sparkles in it. Very nice. Very nice. Looks good. Feels pretty solid. All gears work. Oh, reverse is a little hard because it's not wired yet. There is actually a an electronic wiring to help the reverse release, so you don't like if you don't wire it, it's more difficult to get the transmission in reverse, and then if you do wire it, it helps you get the transmission in reverse. We have decent clutch. Throw up bearing feels good. Shifter feels good. Yep. So that's really all I have for you guys today. Hope you're enjoying this really crappy, shitty video I made. I'm trying to get better at it because I feel like it's a good way to get out what I'm doing with this project, and it's a good way for you guys to inform me on what I'm doing wrong, and just to help me out with some things and give me some recommendations. I'd really appreciate that. And it's also a good way to like promote our company. So unfortunately, I do have to promote our company and stick an ad in this video that no one's ever gonna watch. But Lewis Fabricating, we don't really do much outside of our state. We're in the Pittsburgh region of Pennsylvania. We do a lot of custom ornamental railings, really crazy designs. I'll try to get some videos of that too as we go along. But I do appreciate you guys for tuning in if you did, and leave a like if you did like the video. I'm really sorry that I can't go too much more in depth, but like when it comes to being on camera and being put on the spot, I'm kind of nervous and I kind of suck at this. But appreciate you guys for checking it out, and I really hope you like this build. I'm sorry I put a Chevy motor in a Mustang. Some of you will hate it, some of you will love it. I mean, it's the easiest swap. A lot of money and time and tears into this project, so really hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.